Hey guys, welcome back to the WODdoc Project365, episode 260. Chapter 4 has been revealed of the CrossFit Open, and this one's an interesting one. We got a couple funky things here. Every year we get a new movement. This year it's handstand push-ups. And the little weird thing too is we have this funky rep scheme this year too, which will make things really, really interesting here. Along with that, we have a new standard at which the way we're going to judge handstand push-ups. And I kind of like it, to tell you the truth, because it takes a lot of guesswork out. So let's start out with the WOD here, just so we can talk about and explain what the heck is going on, because it's a little funky. So basically we have a couplet of handstand push-ups and cleans, okay? The handstand push-ups are going to go in an ascending order, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on. But the clean portion, however, stays pretty consistent. It goes up in these chunks of threes. So it's like, it's 3 sets of 3, 3 sets of 6, 3 sets of 9, 3 sets of 12, and so on, okay? So what we want to think about while we're doing this WOD is we want to have an overall strategy. What is our overall strategy? Obviously, this sucker is a shoulder burner, right? So we need to save our shoulders the best we can. And we understand that the handstand push-ups are going to dictate the pace here. So let's go ahead and we'll talk about the handstand push-ups, okay? The big things that I can say here that I've seen after watching Panchek and Bridges go after it, or Bridges, he's going to kill me. Go after it, right? Is that you got to kip, right? The biggest thing that we saw is the strict handstand push-up just didn't necessarily work, right? We really need to be able to use our hips to thrust ourselves into the overhead position, rather than trying to tax our front delts and the front of our shoulders like we saw Bridges do, right? So the other things that we really need to keep in mind here, okay, and that's going to go over to the standard, is the standard here is a little bit different than it ever was before. Before, we used to have this box on the ground at which we had to keep our hands inside, right? And we didn't really care about midline stability or how high our feet went. We just cared about the lockout of our hands. It's all changed this year. The way that they did it is that you take your hands, you place them up against the wall, okay, and then they measure from your wrist 3 inches down, okay? What they found out is that's what they want our heels to break. There's no standard at which of whether our elbows lock out or not. So we got to keep this in mind and then use appropriate strategies because of that. So like I said, we want to keep our midline super, super tight. Any bowing here is going to cause us loss in height. If we lose our height because we lose the sagittal plane mechanics, right? If we either fall into flexion or fall into extension, that obviously loses our height in either direction, okay? Now, keeping that in mind, we want to keep our hands as narrow as comfortably possible. In the past, we put our arms out really, really wide. Not going to be the case today, okay? What we want to do, narrow as possible. That will keep the height of our handstand push-ups, okay? And we actually want to stay a little bit tighter to the wall than we normally would. Again, just like anything else, if I'm this far away from the wall versus this far away from the wall, I can gain height in that direction. So that's what we're going to do there. One of the things that I saw that happened there is in tonight's workout is Bridges got no rep a whole bunch of times because he pointed his toes here like this. What we want to do is we want to pull our toes up towards our head, because they went off the heel height of whether it was a rep or a no rep. They didn't go off of the toe height. So if you point your toes, you actually lose height. So we want to make sure we bring our toes up towards our head, actually when we're upside down, down towards our head. And the last thing that we want to talk about is we want to make sure that we break on our shoulders, okay? Or break on our head to save our shoulders. Because we do not want to hit failure with this movement. It's going to be an absolute ending of the workout. We're going to sit there and we're going to look at it. So what I say when we're looking at this is, how about we do threes all day? If you're proficient with handstand push-ups, something like threes all day is a good strategy to go after, okay? Now, when we talk about the cleans, we only have a couple things here that we really want to talk about. First of all, we're going to do singles from the start. This is like that mediocre weight at which many people could do multiple reps, but you don't get an advantage of it. With sets of 3s and 6s and even 9s, you can go singles all day long and save yourself the shoulders. Why? Because when I pull up and I have to then allow the weight to come back down, I'm losing, or I'm using my shoulders eccentrically, and they're going to burn out. We don't want to do that. Secondly, we want to think of fast hips and fast elbows, or hips, 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 and fast elbows at the same time. Why? Again, this is a weight that a lot of times we can take for granted. And if we end up going into this muscle snatch or this muscle clean position, we're going to burn out the back of our shoulders. We're not going to be able to support ourselves overhead. So we have to think about really coming tight into the pocket, driving with our hips, dropping back down and catching, right? This is a weight at which we can control with our hips. We really don't need to use a lot of hard turnover there. It's just pop, catch, okay? So use these strategies all together. Hopefully you'll get your best score. Guys, until tomorrow, we are optimizing function to optimize performance.